Hey guys, I'm Rob and welcome back to Rob's Model Cars. Today's video I'm going to show you how I clean my model cars. So there's a couple of different methods and there's a couple of things I specifically use for this job, and we'll go through a couple of different types of models as well. So what I've got here is a full die-cast metal model of a Ferrari 458 Speciale. This is actually a Hot Wheels Elite model. And as I mentioned, this is a full die-cast model, and it has quite thick windows in the model as well. So we'll get to that in a moment while I am pointing out that fact. The next model we have here is obviously a high-end resin model. So this is a Lamborghini Aventador S in balloon white, which is made by MR Collection, one of my favorite models in my collection. And the approach is a little bit different to cleaning these high-end resin models. They're pretty solid models. You have to be careful with some of the finer little details, but we'll get into that shortly as well. But these have quite thinner material used for the windows, so a little bit more care is needed for the windows. But firstly, we'll start off with what I use. So a lot of guys like to use some white gloves or just some cotton gloves. I don't like to use these too much as I don't feel I have as much control on the model when I have both the gloves on. I find these can be a bit slippery and an accident could occur and you could drop the model. So I'm personally not a fan of the cotton gloves. I prefer to wear just some disposable rubber gloves. This way you have a lot more grip on your models, which is what you want when you're handling them and cleaning them, and that way there's no risk of dropping it. Now, the second thing, as you can see here, I've definitely got a lot more grip on this model with the rubber gloves, so definitely like to use the rubber gloves when I'm handling these models. It's a little bit different when you're handling a model that is fixed to the base, because you can basically hold the base and you're not physically holding the model. So that's another good reason to keep them on their display bases. And if you don't have a large display case for all your models, you can put the clear cover on these models to keep the dust off as well. So I highly recommend trying to keep all your models in a sealed display case. Although any sealed display case, even my own display cases, do not stop 100% of the dust. Okay, so we've got the gloves sorted. Next, this is what I use to dust all my models. So this is actually a women's makeup blush brush. Now this has super smooth, fine hair on it, or whatever they make it out of. I just simply bought this from Kmart. I think it was around $3 or $4. It was really quite cheap, and it's just super soft. Now this is absolutely perfect for dusting your die-cast or your resin models, so definitely want to get yourself one of these. So it's just a women's makeup brush, and it's a blush brush. So that's definitely what you need to dust your models. And then to give your models a bit more of a harder clean, I use these Tamiya compound applicators. Now these are actually Tamiya's polishing cloths, designed to use with their polishing compounds. I just bought this one on eBay because none of my local stores had them, and you get 3 cloths in the packet. So you get a blue cloth, a pink cloth and a white cloth, which you can correspond to the different colors on the tubes of Tamiya polish. Now I already have a set of these for when I polish bodies, so I'll keep those 2 for spares, and I want to keep the white one. It doesn't matter what color you use, but I want to keep this white one and not use this for any polish at all. I want to keep this clean, and I want to use this to wipe my models over. Now these are super soft as well. You can actually wash them as well. You can put them in the washing machine with a little bit of laundry soap and it will clean them. But I want to keep this as new as possible to clean the models. So that's basically all you need: a set of gloves, a women's makeup brush, and a nice Tamiya soft cloth, and that will take care of most of the cleaning of your models. So basically you just want to dust them first. Most models, if you keep them in a display case, they may get a little bit of dust. I just pulled this straight out of the display case, and it does have a little bit of dust on the model. So basically you can just dust the whole model off with one of these brushes. Now these are super soft, they're not going to do any damage at all to the model, and the only thing you have to be really careful with is just around excuse me, headlight lenses, if you've got a race car with aerials on the roof, just anything that might be grabbed by the brush. You just want to be reasonably careful. But I'm using this Hot Wheels Elite Diecast model as an example. These are built super strong, so you can be quite aggressive with these brushes on these models without fear of damaging them too much. So they're really good to get all the dust off the model and present them back to new. So that's really all you need to do with that, with the dusting brush. Now if there's any extra marks, which sometimes there are on the windows, this is where I use the Tamiya soft polishing cloth. So I'll just fold that into a smaller size, and I can actually give the window a bit of a polish, a bit of a clean. Now you can always, if there's a little mark in there, you can always use a little drop of water and just polish it out. But there you see, you have to be a bit careful that you don't catch the cloth on the windscreen wipers, because you don't want to bend one or break one off. But with these die-cast models, or any models that have a thicker plastic window, front and back, you can do this method without fear of doing any damage to the window. You can also use the cloth as well on the paintwork as well. That will bring a bit more of a shine up as well. But these do a great job, and this is why I want to keep this cloth as clean as possible, so that I can continue to use it on other models and not drag any grime or grit onto another model that I want to clean up. So as you can see, that's given the front window a little bit of a polish up. Can give the back window a little bit of a polish up as well. And while you're holding the model with your gloves, you're not going to leave any fingerprints on the model either, so you can just continue to move around the model with the Tamiya cloth and basically give it a full clean. And then it doesn't matter where you handle the model, because you're wearing rubber gloves, you won't leave any fingerprints. So you can then put that model back into the display case knowing that it's free of dust and free of fingerprints. Okay, let's talk about the resin model. As I say, I take a little bit of a different approach to the resin models. They're not as fragile as a lot of people think, but I just take a little bit more care when I'm cleaning these models. So the dusting process is exactly the same. So you can pretty much go over the whole model. Again, just be careful of your small details like your windscreen wipers. Like this Aventador, it's got 3 very thin windows on the back, so I'll just dust those quite carefully. And same as the side windows, they usually have a little metal trim piece around there, so I just don't want to catch the brush on anything, so I'll just go a bit slower and a bit more careful on the resin models, just so I don't do any accidental damage. But other than that, just taking your time and going a little bit slower, the process is exactly the same, and these brushes are fantastic. They really are. They're so soft, and they're absolutely perfect for cleaning and dusting your model cars. Now really, if you keep your models under a plexiglass display cover, or you've got them in a sealed display case like mine, really this is all they should need, is just a slight dusting every now and again, just to keep the dust off them. Something that I have started doing before I do videos of these models as well, is just to give them a little bit of a dust because that seems to show up on camera very easily. Now, same again with the polishing cloth. If you see you have any marks or finger marks, you can do exactly the same. So you can use that Tamiya cloth and just go over the paintwork to remove any fingerprints. Again, just be really careful of the little finer details like the window wipers and little aerials and side mirrors, things like that. But as a general rule of thumb, I try not to use the cloth on resin model windows unless I really have to, because this is such a thinner plastic material. You could damage it by pushing it in or deflecting it or leaving actual marks on the window worse than what was there. So I really do try and avoid from using the cloth on the windows. I'll just stick to the brush and make sure I get the dust off. Again, there are methods to actually use Tamiya polishing compound to polish areas of the paintwork, but I really don't do that unless I'm trying to remove some paint rash or something similar from a die-cast metal body. Keep the cleaning to a minimum. You don't have to do a ton of work, but I think it's the best thing to do is just stick to the blush brush for all your main dusting and your Tamiya polishing cloth. If you can get something similar, that's okay, but I just like to use those as I find they are the best for keeping the models clean. So just a short video today, but that's pretty much how I clean my die-cast and my resin models. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section below. But that's going to wrap up today's video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do. Don't forget to smash that like button if you found this video informative, and stay tuned to the channel. Plenty more videos coming out soon. But until next time, thanks for watching Rob's Model Cars.